Hi, everyone. We're going to take a dive today into some new capabilities of IssueTrack. This is a re-recording of a webinar given December the 5th, 2019. And this segment is on new capabilities, the incoming email module. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Mike Wright. I'm Senior Product Engineer at IssueTrack. I've actually been with the company longer than the software has been around. So I've spent about 10 years in support. I've spent 10 years teaching people and consulting with people on how to use IssueTrack and training new users. Many of you in the audience I've probably already met, talked to, and some of them I've already visited. So hopefully you'll enjoy a little time with me as I'm trying to impart some of my knowledge of the product to you. Today's information really has to do with new capabilities. We're looking at capabilities that have been added in 11.6 and 11.7 to improve the usage of the incoming email module. So most of these slides and most of the things today are going to be very focused on that capability. So this particular segment is mostly going to be about people who are involved with managing and administering the incoming email module. So let's take a look at the first thing. New configuration options. Now, some of the new configuration options within the particular module have to do with settings related to adding users through the CCC list of incoming emails. That means you've received an email from someone, and they have gone ahead and added a couple of users to their CC list. And we would like to have those users included as email distribution list members on the issue that's been created through that email. So what we've done is we've actually included a new capability to allow you to control how that particular user is being made. So let me bring the IT training site up and show you the new set of settings. And first thing we'll do is we'll kind of review the normal settings in here, submitting user. And these are some of the settings we've had in the past where we're setting up the users through Active Directory or accepting email from only users that already exist. We're creating new users through a template or by putting them into a particular organization. Now, while I'm here, I do want to point out one thing. I want to point out this particular feature right here. This particular feature has been added during this particular set of changes, and I want to bring your attention to it because it can affect how some of you are using IssueTrack. One of the things that happens right now is that some of you are using the email issue feature, or you're allowing users that are not members of that issue. That means they're not the submitter, the assignee, they don't have a task assignment. They don't really have a role in that issue. They're receiving emails and being able to reply to them. And those replies are being added as notes to that issue. Well, when this box is checked, and it is checked by default after 11.6, those users will no longer be able to add those notes. What's going to happen is they're going to be bounced. They're going to be bounced to the notification user on that mailbox. So this can cause you some issues, and you may get additional looping warnings or warnings that this email is not going to be added because of this feature. If you need to restore capabilities prior to 11.6, you'll need to uncheck this box, and those users will be able to go ahead and add notes to issues, even though they don't have visibility on that issue. So very, very important that you pay attention to that particular settings. Now, let's go ahead and go down a little bit more. So now we'll take a look at the CC users. We see the exact same set of capabilities. Being able to only add users that exist in the Active Directory or currently already are users in IssueTrack, creating users from templates, adding them from the default value, so put them into a default organization. You can even email their login credentials to them. Normally that is now going to be a user ID, and then they will have to create their own password. So they have to have the ability to have an email address. And then we can even attempt to determine the organization from email domain when creating a user. Now I'm going to get to that feature a little bit later in this presentation today because we've added some capabilities to that particular feature also. So let me step back from that one. Main thing with this is now you have control over how that user is being created. So that's the main item that's actually being discussed in this particular feature. So next, email domain matching. So just what I was just talking about. There's been a new field added to the organization record called the IM email domain. So it used to be that we would go ahead and use what's called the www address in the organization record to match the domain of an email to an organizational company. And when we did that, then people got confused about what information needed to be there. So what we did is we separated that into two fields. So let's take a look at that. So we'll go back to IT training. We'll go to our organization record. And we'll go down here and we'll pick on Bobby's Tools. So I'm editing Bobby's Tools. And I'm going to scroll down until I get to web address. This is the field that used to be www address. So it was intended to put a URL in here that essentially was the web address for this particular company, www.bobbystool.com. So bobbystool.com, when we added a user, we would look for @bobbystool.com as being the email address. And we would then say, okay, if you have a user that's unknown, they submit an issue that has their email domain set up as @bobbystool.com, we'll put that particular user as being created in the Bobby's Tool organization. Well, again, as you see, we now have a new field called incoming email domain. And the actual email address, email domain for that company is @mybobtool.com. So it doesn't match the web address. And that's where we're getting to problems. The web address would be one thing, the email domain will be another. So now the capability has been split, so it's very clear when we want to go ahead and put a user into the proper organization, we're going to look for that incoming email domain. And that's what we're going to be looking for, not the web address. The web address is only going to be informational only. That's all it is. We'll be able to report on it. We'll be able to see displays of it when we pop open this particular organization record, but it has no feature or function. So that's a change. So next, enhanced loop protection. Now, one of the changes that's also been made is now on POP accounts that we set up for our email servers, we're going to force you to go ahead and delete the emails. We've had some issues in the before where that's been preventing proper processing of those emails when we left them in there in an unread status. So now what's going to happen is we are going to say that after 11.6, so 11.6 upgrades, 11.7 and past, this particular feature must be enabled. So let's take a look at the setting. So the setting will go back to incoming email. So go down here again to administration and incoming email. We'll again look at that server we were looking at. And this one happens to be set up already to use POP3. And the setting that you see is grayed out and cannot be removed is delete messages after processing. Now we realize that some of you need to have those messages left in those mailboxes. So what you'll end up doing is you'll need to go to your mail provider and then have a rule set up so that when emails come into that mailbox, they're all copied to another folder so that you can maintain that history. We do have customers that does fall into, so make sure that your email provider knows to copy those messages to another folder so that you can maintain your historical auditing capabilities that may be needed. So, something to be aware of on that particular feature. So let's move forward again. Improved logging. So, the incoming email module has always had a log file in it. And if you don't know about it, it's actually here underneath view log. So when you look at the mailboxes, you can view log. And when we send the emails in, we have this log file created that shows you the result of those emails, whether they're successful or not, whether they've been rejected, whether we created a new user. That information was provided to you. Now that information now is in the status area. This is a message and a status. For example, the status happens to be successfully processed, and then it tells me that we've added a new issue number 1358. Now the 1358 is the issue number. It used to be in its own separate column. Now it is included within the status message. So the other part that's really important in here is we've increased the period that these records are maintained. It used to be 3 days. Now it is a full 7 days that we're maintaining this. So the information we have here has been changed. This is now 7 days, not 3. One thing to keep in mind is that when we do upgrade to 11.6, this particular log field log form will be cleared. So if you do have records in there, we will clear that when we do the upgrade. Now, hopefully a lot of yours have already passed that upgrade and that particular item is no longer relevant, but there are still some customers, of course, especially in premise, that may not have upgraded to this particular version before. So another change that should help you. And I'll show you some other things in login as we get to them. So now, better token access control. Now, email tokens in IssueTrack have been added. Usually it's post 9.96. And in those cases, we've had the capability of putting tokens in emails in order to update information. Just in case you're not familiar with the tokens, you'll see email tokens acted here on the left-hand side. And there are tokens that can allow information from the email to go directly into the issue record, and specifically the user-defined fields. It also can change assignment, change next action, priority, and substatus, and even close the issue if you so desire. So what this is just a series of code that is helping us, especially when global issues are involved with this particular updates. Now remember, a global issue can be updated from a reply to an email, just like a normal issue. So we just wanted to make sure that we were handling all those updates properly. So all of that has to do, this whole section has to do with global issues and how they're operated. Also, there's another situation that comes up every once in a while where we have to understand how user accounts are being used. Sometimes we may have an email address that has more than one user account associated with it. And what we would find is sometimes we would have one of the user accounts would have visibility to the issue, and at another times they didn't. And we would just pick and choose which one. It just depends on how the search was coming up. We would always go through the table and find the first record. Well, we found that that wasn't always correct. So what we did is we just made a decision that says, okay, if a user has visibility on the issue, that means they're like submitter or have a role on that issue or becoming a member of an email distribution list, they have visibility to the issue, then that's the accounts we're going to consider. If a user account has the same email address, but it doesn't have any visibility, we're not going to use it. And if it does have two accounts that have visibility, they're going to follow the rule for it. So this is an unusual situation. I just wanted to mention it because it is something that you may come across, but it is in the release notes, which a lot of these particular slides are coming from. So I wanted to make sure that you understood that capability also. Now, another thing that's mostly just to mention here is nothing in the software is that IAM no longer runs as a Windows service, but as a scheduled task. Now, again, if you're pre-10.0, we used to run the incoming email on Windows scheduled task. Then we changed it over to a service, and now we're back running it again as a scheduled task. So I just wanted to make sure just had some backside communications, backside configuration information we needed to read, and we had to make this particular change. So if you're having problems with the scheduled task not running, or if the service is failing, we just didn't want you looking for a service when it was actually running on a task. So again, reading these particular release notes is very important so you can understand the changes that are being made. Now, this is kind of the big feature for this particular talk. Improved search log features. Now, I showed you the log file a little while ago. And when I showed you that, you may have kind of noticed that it looks like that search capability at the top has changed a little bit. It's a little bit more expanded. So yes, we have done that. So here, what you're getting is in the search capability in the log files, we're getting more fields to search for, such as date received, date processed, email sender, subject attachments, account ID, status. Status is one of the things that will show up in this particular area here, like successfully processed. You'll also be able to look for items like ready to process, in process, fail to process. Now that's kind of important. I'll explain that in just a minute. The status message is also a field that you can go in, and that's other information that may be added. For example, if I wanted to look up issues related to 5398, which is the issue number, I would look it up here instead of going ahead and looking at it in the column that it used to be stored under. The other part of this is that now you have the capability to do a retry. For example, if I wanted to reprocess this particular issue, I can check this box here and I can retry that. So if a failure occurred, or if I just wanted to rerun it again to see what happened, then I can go ahead and rerun the emails just by checking the box and clicking resupply. And as you can see, you can do multiple emails. So you do a search, get a series of emails, do select all here, then it'll go ahead and update all of these and retry all 3 of them instead of just 1. So you have a capability to go ahead and make a change, make a retry of the emails, which you didn't have prior to this particular update. Nice feature, nice capability for you to look at information. Now, if you have any information or you need additional data about these particular features, please go ahead and contact the support team first. If you need additional information on how to do some work with incoming email, you may want to talk to Paul or myself, then schedule some time with the PS team through your sales engineer. They'll be happy to talk with you. But first thing, talk to your support team. They have the technical aspects of each one of these changes. They'll be the one that you want to talk to first. So with that, I hope y'all have a great day. And if you need us anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is Mike Wright signing out. Bye now.